Willkommen, Hoinan, and welcome back to Ftrf1's Division 2. This is the British Grand Prix, brought to you in Season 9. My name is Webbo, here to take you through tonight's proceedings. We join the action on track and with 3 minutes to go in Q2. We are expecting a few more drivers to arrive, so there's not been a great deal of jeopardy in Q2 or Q1, but the drivers have been putting in the times and getting through, just avoiding disqualification and retirements, of course. But we'll be on track with some elimination qualifying shortly. So I know that you'll all be very pleased to see that. Do say hello and let me know if you're tuning in tonight. We had a run in Q1 of 3 drivers on successive thousandths of a second. So we had a 129.314, 315 and a 316. The fastest time in Q1, a 28.537. And we've already beaten that. Gichui Levy has the fastest time here in this current session. I will take you through the standings in at the start of Q3, or at least the intermission between Q2 and 3, just in case we lose the stream while drivers are joining after load shedding. Fastest lap quickly set by Nick Gishen then, with 1 minute 45 to go on the laps. On board with Chums, who is trying to improve at this time. Just heading through the famous Maggots and Beckett's and now Chapel Corners. Just before the next turn, which is Stowe Corner, we will get an update on his... No, we won't. We've just had the update on his time. Through Stowe we go, and then into the pits, ready for the gap here before we get underway for the final runs, I feel, although Nick Gishen won't have much time. I think actually the drivers probably fairly happy with that setup. I don't think they're planning to go any further or any deeper. We'll see if Nick Gishen is trying to beat his time into Maggots and Beckett's. Just getting familiar, I think, here with the car and track conditions on this day in history. Looks like a nice, clear, bright and sunny day at Silverstone. So take a picture because it's a bit of a rarity. And in and through Stowe we go. I think Nick might be... He's actually seeming to prepare the car for another flying lap. He's not coming into the pits. Or is he just waiting to cross the line? Maybe. But I'm not sure quite why he's weaving, if that's what he's up to. We will see both McLaren drivers, I'm told, after qualifying. We'll be here for the formation lap, which is good news. Your leader of the championship at the moment, I believe, is still Avalak, and he is in 3rd. And there was Nick just crossing the line rather than leave us hanging in the pits. He gets the fastest time in Q2. Everybody made it through, of course, with only 10 starters, but we will be into some eliminations shortly. So Nick Gishen at 1:27.822 is by far the fastest time so far in our session tonight. Then Gichui Levy, half a second back, 28.331. We do expect a few extra fast drivers to join, though, after qualifying and be making their way up from the back. Avalak in 3rd, Stoffel in 4th, Pampern, Razor, Chums, Arno, Midas and Royal Viking with a far from representative time. So really the top 9 separated by 1.2 seconds. And I imagine it's going to close up as we get 2 or 3 runs done in Q3. If we do lose the stream tonight, please make sure you go back to the channel page, hit refresh after 3 or 4 minutes, and hopefully you'll find us back on track as soon as we possibly can. Just a problem with load shedding across South Africa, I believe, affecting the connections. So our standings then brought to you by Auto Magneto. Avalak is on top with 135 points with just 2 rounds to go, this one and 1 more. Next comes Hashim on 120, so Avalak defending a 15-point lead at the top of the standings. Stoffel has 96, so a ways off second and first place. Then comes Pampern on 88, 02 on 85, the Ferrari pairings 4th and 5th. Nick Gishin in 6th on 78, Midas 75. Chums and Uzi are joint 8th place on 69 points, and then Sir Hamrick is on 60, Shakes 49. Then we come with the smaller points orders: Razor in 12th, Super D, Arno, Brad, Jacques Slater, Royal Viking, and no points for Top Gun, who sadly couldn't make it at short notice again tonight. And then in the joint constructor standings, I suspect Red Bull are still far and away leading this one. Indeed they are. 723 combined points across division for Red Bull Racing, which is 229 points more than their next rival Ferrari on 494. Alpha Tauri have 465, Mercedes 344.5, McLaren 327, Aston Martin 296, Alpine are in 7th with 211, Alfa Romeo 196, Haas 177, and a long way back is Williams with barely any drivers representing them at the moment. So Avalak defending that lead. It has not all been smooth sailing for him though, and as I mentioned, we are in Silverstone for the penultimate round of the championship. The final round will be in Saudi Arabia at the Jeddah Corniche circuit this time next week, so make sure you tune in, of course. Just checking then on who is about to set a time. I think Nick Gishin might well be worth a watch as the fastest driver in the previous session. So let's ride on board as we go towards the Abbey corner. Should be flat out depending on setup, but certainly in Q3 it will be flat out. Then down, heavy braking into farm. Use every inch of these curbs on the inside at very least. We go through Village and out onto the Wellington Straight, so named for the Wellington Bombers that used to operate out of the airfield that Silverstone was based on. Look for the turning point and the braking point into Brooklands, much later than you would imagine being trackside. Then we go into Luffield, multiple lines available through Luffield, and you should see some side-by-side action through and into Woodcut. Then we're on the old start-finish straight and should again be flat out through Copse before rebuilding the speed, and then the decreasing radii corners of first Maggots 1 and 2, Beckett's, and then as we go out here onto Chapel and the slingshot out onto the longest straight here, really the Hanger Straight, before looking for the very late braking point into Stowe, especially in dry conditions into Stowe, losing a little bit of distance to the apex there for Nick Gishin, and then stamp on the brakes for the slowest section on the circuit, Vale and Club, so named for the Club House on the corner, and through onto the Hamilton Straight, and we get a 1:27.659 first lap on the board for our Q3, and a very nice time indeed, faster than he went in Q2. So Royal Viking next to come up towards the line, getting the car through Club Corner and over the line, a 29.768. That's very close, very close indeed. One of the Mercedes, that's Razor, is just on the line there, and Stoffel beats Razor 28.834. It is really close at the midfield. Midas gets into the 28s too, a 28.514. Avalak playing it cool, hasn't actually made it onto track just yet, letting the other drivers prime the track for him, and a 28.679 for Arno with Gatsui Levy, who was quick in Q2 right up until the final lap was put in. 28.675 for Gatsui Levy, with the Aston Martin of Chums crossing the line on a 28.687. Three drivers on the same tenth of a second, 28.6, and very close indeed with the top 7 drivers. Nick Gishin a little bit out of reach at the moment, but we will see if the drivers can manage to close that up. Pampern and Avalak in the pits, but Pampern certainly on his way out at the moment. It should be worthwhile watching Pampern for a good lap. I know that our viewers are usually, he's pretty popular among our viewers, I should say. Just taking it very, very steady and easy coming out of the pits through the slow and slippery farm and village corners. Six minutes to go. Looks like we will get only 2 flying laps maximum out of the Ferrari and the Red Bull driven by Avalak. The rest of the drivers may be opting to try and do 3 laps, but with a little bit of margin to try and head off any issues for potential invalidations through their push laps. A bit of pressure on now for Pamper and Avalak. Everybody having set a time so far, apart from those 2. So down we go into what is barely a dip, but in Silverstone terms a dip, into Violent Club, out and onto Hamilton Straight to start the lap out here. Good turn-in performance from the Ferrari through Abbey. To be carrying plenty of wing then to get that amount of correct steer to the apex through the first sector. The car on the pit straight, that's the Alpine of Royal Viking. Using those little bumps off throttle at the apex of Brooklands just to pull the car in, which is fine as long as you're not going to use any throttle. Have a look at Avalak about to cross his first sector. 27.602. Just downshifting through Maggots and Beckett's comes Pampern out of Chapel. 104.244. It's his second sector. The last 2 corners then to finish the lap out for Pampern. Treading carefully, short shifting on the way through, very slippery corner, and it's a second place, 128.218 for Pampern. Avalak is quicker than Pampern was through sector 2, if my memory serves me correctly. Over the rumble strip on the exit of Stowe. Again, using that massive curb on the inside of Vale, but only off throttle. Avoid it on the inside of second part of Club, and it's a 27.989 for Avalak. Only 2 drivers in the 27s after the first laps, but we also have the likes of Nick Bishop out on track. We know that, for instance, Royal Viking was out fairly early. Let's see how his lap is progressing. Bit of a dip on the throttle coming through Copse for Royal Viking. I know many of our drivers pretty upset to have to duck out of tonight's race. That's quicker for Royal Viking, 104.646, 3/10 faster. So that's going to help him get some confidence for the race time. But for the time being, fastest time currently with Nick Gishen. I don't think Royal Viking is going to trouble him at the top of the order. Big oversteer moments coming through the next 2 corners. It was a faster time he managed, knocking on the door of P9, but unfortunately invalidation at the end of the lap counted against him. We've got Arno, who is 4/10 faster than he's been before. This would be great for him. Could lift him up to 4th or 5th position as things currently stand. Arno from 7th on the grid, but it's so tight that midfield. And up to 4th he goes, a 128.150, and it did improve in a big way. Kitsui Levy across the line, no improvement that time, but just starting a lap. Looks like Razor has just deposed Arno. So Razor back up to 4th place. See Nick Gishin defending that time as it's Midas has gone into 2nd place, just pipping Avalak onto the 2nd row. It's Midas at 1:27.886, close to Nick Gishin, but not close enough. And I think he won't get time for another lap. Here is Nick Gishin then on the attack, defending that top place, that pole position, but I'm not sure anyone is going to come any closer, because I don't think Avalak and Midas have got time to get it done. Less than a minute to go before the checkered flag falls, and Nick Gishin is faster, could potentially get a 1:27.5 out of this one. Heading then down towards Vale and Club. Avalak will just be defending his championship from Hashim, who will join us from the back of the grid. Nick Gishin goes faster, a 1:27.578.